Hi, I'm Bob Penrod with Camp Lejeune Fire and Emergency Services, and today we're going to read a book, No Dragons for Tea. So let's get started. On a warm sunny day at the end of last week, my mom and I went for a walk to the creek. As I raced down the hill in my little red wagon, I veered to the left and smacked into a dragon. I suppose he could be there with fear in his eyes as I jumped to my feet, quite filled with surprise. He sheepishly grinned and stepped out of the way, but he seemed so polite that I asked him to play. He had a cute bear and some other toys too. With my shovel and pail, we had oodles to do. We ran to the creek and then we ran on to the bay, where we played on the beach for the rest of the day. Then Mom waved and said, "Now it's time to go eat. Let's pack up the red wagon and head for the street." It's hard to stop playing with friends old or new, so I asked if the dragon could come eat too. Mom wrinkled her brow and squinted her eyes, looking up at the dragon's incredible size. I begged and I pleaded, and then she said, very sweet, "We won't make a mess, we'll be tidy and neat." So at last she said, "Yes, just this once I'll agree. You may have the dragon come over for tea." We had carrots and apples, thick slices of ham, with fresh homemade biscuits and strawberry jam, cold glasses of milk and a great big dill pickle. But the pepper we sprinkled sure made my nose tickle. Then the dragon's nose twitched, he started to wheeze, his eyes missed up, he blew a great big sneeze. Achoo! Well, we all know what happens when dragons achoo. Flame shot from his mouth and from both nostrils too. Our tablecloth sparked and then burst into flames, and our curtains that hung right beside did the same. The smoke alarm rang with a loud, piercing sound. It meant get out fast, so I dropped to the ground. The room filled from smoke as I started to crawl on the floor, and I started to make my way to the front door. The dragon got scared and decided to hide, but I knew there was fire. We must get outside. I grabbed his thick tail, and with one mighty tug, I pulled that big dragon out from under the rug. I crept down the hallway and said, "Follow me. I know the way out. We must meet by the tree." So my mom and the dragon and I all met there. Then that silly old dragon went back in for his bear. We ran and caught up with him, and he wouldn't let go. And I said, "Listen, dragon, here's what you should know. Don't ever go back. They will just not do. We can get a new bear. We can't replace you." Since the fire was burning inside of our home, we went to the neighbors to borrow the phone. Mom knew what to dial and said calm and clear, "Here's our full street address. Send the fire trucks here." Before very long, down our street came sailing, with bright red lights flashing and loud sirens wailing. The fire crew rushed to start work on their task. They were dressed in big boots and wore helmets and masks. They hooked up the hose and ran into the house, where they sprayed streams of water in order to douse. The table, the curtains are lovely snack too, and it didn't take long till the fire went through. The fire chief called out the door with a shout. The smoke made a mess, but the fire is out. My poor friend the dragon knew he was to blame, so he hung his head down and wept great tears of shame. One of the fire crew said, "Don't be sad. You knew what to do, and of that you were quite glad. You all got out safely. That really is what matters." Then she took us up to see the big pump and the ladders. The dragon put on a shiny red hat, and I asked to see where the fire crew sat. She showed us the siren, the hoses and lights, and the ladders they climb up to catch higher heights. The rest of the fire crew checked all the rooms while a fan in the door blew out the gray smoke and fumes. Then the dragon and I, we sat down for a while. I reached up and hugged him. He gave me a smile. The next time the dragon and I want to play, we'll pack up a picnic and go out to the bay. We are friends, tried and true, but the best way we can be, but I'll never invite a dragon for tea. Boys and girls, thank you for joining us and reading the book, No Dragons for Tea. And we want to remind you that if your house catches fire, get down, get low, and crawl out. Go to your meeting place and call 911.